everyone. Hey, welcome to Love Stories and Sonnets. We're here this evening. My name is Tammy Brown. I'm the artistic director of the Contemporary Theater Company, and we're here this evening to celebrate Valentine's Day by celebrating love in all of its forms. We know Valentine's Day a lot of times is centered on romantic love, but there's so many other kinds of love in the world, and it's a great opportunity to talk about our love of family, our love of friends, our love of hobbies, our love of pets, because that's really what's carrying us through these days. And so I want to take a moment to acknowledge love in all of its forms and encourage you folks to think about the love in your life, and maybe take a minute in the next day or so to send a love message out to a friend or a family member, or do something that you enjoy, because I think that's what this holiday really should be about. So we're going to be telling love stories throughout the evening, and we're going to be celebrating love by reciting Shakespearean sonnets, some of the greatest love poems ever written. And Shakespeare was writing about friends, he was writing about family, he was writing about the joys and the heartaches of love. So we're going to be celebrating all of that. We also invite you to share your stories of love. Feel free to put a comment on the live stream and talk together about your stories of love. Also, I'm going to be doing some requested sonnets from the audience. So if you have a love sonnet that you would like to request, feel free to comment that as well. But let's get started. We have a great roster of readers of sonnets tonight. I'm so excited for this cast. If we were staging a full Shakespearean play with these folks, it would be really an all-star cast. So I'm really excited. Some of them some of them you might be meeting for the first time. We're gonna have a great time, and I'm really excited to hear sonnets from these folks. So our first reader is someone who is a dear friend of mine. He is making his CTC debut here with us today, I think. And he's a fantastic actor, he's a writer, he's a carpenter, and he's a dear friend of mine, and I'm really excited for you to meet him. Please welcome Jakeem Parker to read with us today.
Good evening, and thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm not sure if I can live up to that, but I'll try.
I am really excited is a word that we use a lot at CTC. It's about like the work that we do and about, what we want to be sharing with the world. And so I'm really genuinely excited to have you. If for no other reason than I just haven't seen you in a while.
I will take all of that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been hanging in there. I'm honored that you asked me to do this, and I hope to do it justice. And I look forward to working with CTC in the future and getting back to the play that we were working on before, because I was starting to really get into it.
Yeah. So Jakeem was going to make his CTC debut in 2020, and we were rehearsing a play called We Are Proud to Present. And that was unfortunately the show that was cut short. We were right in the middle of the rehearsal process when COVID hit. So we weren't able to continue. So hopefully we can either bring that show back, or I'll figure out a way. I know a gal, so I'll figure out a way to get you over to CTC.
All right.
So you say that you're not a Shakespearean,
No.
which is, it's totally fine. A lot of people find Shakespeare to be intimidating, but I will say that you are in one of my most memorable Shakespeare productions, which was King Lear at Mixed Magic Theater. I think that was in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave a great performance in that show. You were Edgar, right?
Yes. Edgar and poor Tom.
Yes. Yeah. That's a complex role, and it was I didn't get to see it because I was backstage a lot, But do you have any like memories of that production or like anything that stands out?
I think my favorite part of that production would be the trial with poor Tom King Lear, and I think the crossfire of going back and forth across the stage and pleading to a jury that's not there while looking dead into the audience's eyes as if they're not there. It's like it's fun, the different layers of theater, and especially where you have to take it beyond what's there and put something in its place at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like you have to take away the audience and put your own audience there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I will always remember that performance. It was really great. It was something special. And I love sharing the stage with you. So let's hope we can do it again
This,
sometime.
but that's the funny thing. We've done more than one Shakespearean play, and I still don't feel like a Shakespearean kind of actor. Because
You know,
Midsummer Night's Dream was another one we did.
yeah, that's right. Yes. I think, it's something that it becomes easier with time. I always say this to everybody, like even I don't consider myself a Shakespeare expert. I just have a lot of practice. It's like anything, you get good at it, it takes practice. And that's why I love you doing sonnets because it's like Shakespeare light. Dip your toe in, it's only 14 lines, it's about love probably. So not too intimidating. So what sonnet do you have? You have sonnet number 23, is that right?
Sonnet 23,
All
indeed.
right. Well, I will step away and I will let you read sonnet number 23.
All right. Here we go. Sonnet 23. As an unperfect actor on the stage, who with his fear is put beside his part, or some fierce thing replete with too much rage, whose strength's abundance weakens his own heart. So I, for fear of trust, forget to say the perfect ceremony of love's rite, and in my own love's strength seems to decay, or charged with burden of mine own love's might. Oh, let my looks be then the eloquence and dumb presages of my speaking breast, who plead for love and look for recompense. More than that tongue that more hath more expressed. Oh, learn to read with silent love hath right. To hear with eyes belongs to love's fine wit. I
That
was
was
out.
great.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if you knew I was done.
Yep. Yeah, it's always short. It's only 14 lines, but that was great. I like that sonnet. Number one, like Shakespeare writes a lot of nods to acting and actors, and he mentions actors a lot. So, we actors love to see that. I think we're like, ooh, that's me. Ooh, he's talking about acting.
Funny thing, I'm the about the second or third time I read through this, I was like, did she know about that moment in my life? Because it felt like it connected to what you're about to ask me.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's go ahead. What is your love story?
About 3 years ago, come this April 18th, my birthday, I was working for a truck company and I injured my back and I was out of work for a while and I kind of fell into a bit of depression and I broke down in my kitchen one night. And the funny thing is, out of everything that was flying through my mind, something that broke through everything and silenced all the noise was music. And then I realized at that moment that music has always been a part of my life in one shape, way, form, or fashion through the ups or the downs. I've always related to music through all of my pains and all of my happiness. And that turned into me going to get my associates at New England Tech. And now I'm in the process of going back for my bachelor's, but I have my associates in digital media and I'm working on my first small company as a music producer, video editor, and implementing all the things I love, music. And that is,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. Uh, so that's my love story.
Yeah, I think that's a lot. Like when we're artists, love is kind of what drives us forward. And if you're going to have uh, a passion in life or an artistic passion, you know, if you want to pursue it as a career, I think you have to have love really at the heart of it, driving you
Hmm.
forward. So that's really
Indeed.
great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Jakeem. It's been wonderful having you read and wonderful seeing you. And you know, stick around and watch the other readers.
I definitely will. And thank you again for having me and allowing me to share that with you and everyone else.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Peace.
All right. Um, so, as you can see, we're going to have readers telling their own stories of love in all of its forms. And I'm going to share a really, really quick story of love with you all. Um, so, when I was arrested, you know, it's a great love story that starts out when I was arrested. um, so, in case you may not know, I did a protest at the Supreme Court last October, and and I was arrested for it. And you know, it thinking back on it, it makes me think of the different ways that people can show and express love for you, and it really feels differently the different ways that people try to express their love. And when I was planning to do it, I only had like maybe a day or two to plan. And I didn't tell my mom on purpose because I knew she would be upset. And it's true, after I told her after the fact, she was upset and she was really mad at me for like a couple of days. And it was like, that was her way of showing love to me, was because she was trying to protect me. You know, she didn't want me to be in harm's way. So that's how we show love to people sometimes, is in a sort of fierce, like protective way. But the flip side of that is the group that I work with, the activist group that I work with, which is called the Woman Project. Um, they expressed love in a totally different way. I think they were all a little concerned with what I was going to do, but they didn't try to stop me. They didn't try to talk me out of it. They didn't get mad at me. They just gave me their complete and total support the whole time, and they didn't show me how worried they might have been about what I was going to do. And in fact, when I didn't coordinate this or plan with them about it, and after I was arrested, I was actually kept in the Supreme Court for like several hours. And so I hadn't checked in with anybody. And when I finally got a chance to call, it was like 4 hours later. And I called and I was like, oh, I'm sorry I haven't been in touch. I called one of the women who I had been in contact with in DC. And she was like, oh, don't worry. I've been calling every hour. And I felt so loved and cared for. And in that moment, that she was taking that time, and she had that level of concern for me and for what was happening, even though it was scary for all of them to watch me do this like risky thing. Their love was in their support and their calling and protection in that way. So lots of different ways that we can express love to people in our lives. So our next reader is, let's see here. We are going to move the order around a bit. So let's see, we're going to go further down. I'm going to do a sonnet request. I've put out into the world that we are, I'm taking requests. A lot of people have their favorite sonnets. And so I'm going to do a request. And this is actually a request that came to me back in April of 2020. So I'm a little late in fulfilling this request. This is for Paul Hosfeld. I had recorded a sonnet for CTC and put the video out, and then I said I would take requests. And Paul messaged me and he said, I'd love you to do this and dedicate it to my dear wife, Maxine. And they're both really good friends of mine and both really avid theater goers in Rhode Island. And I didn't do it. Sorry. So I'm going to do it right now. It's sonnet 116. And I'm going to go ahead and, and read it for you. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. That's a sonnet that's often read at weddings. I was trying to think of whether I had it read at my wedding. It's possible. It's possible. I love the idea in that sonnet that no matter how much you change, no matter how much I change, I'm gonna love you no matter what. It's a great sentiment. So thank you, Paul, and thank you, Maxine, for requesting that sonnet. All right, so next up, we have, I'm gonna move around in the order a bit, and we're gonna talk to Daria Lyric Montequilla. Daria.
Girl, now I gotta move.
I'm jumping through the order. This is we're broadcasting live here, and so there are some people that aren't here yet. That's okay. It's a live show, no problem. But Daria is ready. So Daria was last seen at CTC, I think, as Falstaff in Henry IV.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to play Sir John Falstaff?
That was an awesome role for me. Because like, you know, I love to be loud and take up space and be fun. So getting to do that as like the character the whole time was really fun, especially when he would get like super I don't know, like introspective and upset about things that were happening. Because it was still like very comedic, but it was still like very I don't know, involved with sort of being in my feelings. Yeah, I don't know. How long ago was that? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah, time like stretches.
Crazy, dude.
It's crazy.
Like a year and a half ago almost. Wow. Yeah, that was really fun, especially getting to be with my best friends and stuff. I was with Katya, I was with Artemis. I was sick.
Yeah.
And I just had to like push around Artemis the whole time because we were like best friends. Well, we are best friends. And we were best friends in the show, and that was wicked fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was great. And speaking of being a dynamic duo with Artemis, you also played Romeo the year before.
Oh my God, I totally did do that. It was like a director or something. Especially getting to know you a little bit more. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was that production is like near and dear to my heart because I love that play, and it's definitely one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. It's kind of basic to say Romeo and Juliet is one of your favorite Shakespeare plays, but like it's really good. It's really good. It's really it's so alive and so vibrant, and it's all about love and like the sort of dark side of love. Like you're just cruising along and everybody's falling in love, and then oof, it gets serious real quick.
Exactly. Especially like playing the like dumb teenagers in love. That was wicked fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get on to your sonnet. You have sonnet number 75. Anything to say before you start?
No, I'm gonna read the sonnet.
All right. I'm gonna get out of your way then.
Wow. Oh God, throw back to Shakespeare. It's been a second. All right. So are you to my thoughts as food to life, or as sweet seasoned showers are to the ground. And for the peace of you I hold such strife as twixt a miser and his wealth is found. now proud as an enjoyer, and anon doubting the filching age will steal his treasure. Now counting best to be with you alone. No, then better that the world may see my pleasure. Sometime all full with feasting on your sight, and by, clean starved for a look, possessing or pursuing no delight save what is had or must from you be took. Thus do I pine and surfeit day by day, or gluttoning on all, or all away. That's that on that.
Short and sweet. That's why I like the sonnets. They're like, they pack a lot of punch, and there's like, and it gets right to the point.
I had to like, I took like honors poetry as my first semester in college, which was a mistake. It was very difficult. But we read a lot of sonnets, so this is a nice little throwback to freshman year for me.
There you go. Any thoughts about the sonnet as you were like kind of reading through it? Anything like?
I like the juxtaposition of, oh, I want everyone to see you because you're so beautiful, but no, I want to keep you because like, what if everyone steals you? That's so real. I love to show off what I've got, and then I'm like, oh, but wait, I don't want everyone to know. That's not true. I want everyone to know. I'm always like, look at.
I love watching you do Shakespeare because it's so energetic.
Oh, thank you.
That's because I think like so often actors feel like they're doing Shakespeare, and so they have to be like so proper and so controlled, and so the energy gets kind of taken out of it, and it's like feels very removed from like modern like society. And so I love to see people who are just like dynamic with it and just like they bring that like current modern energy, which is really great.
Thank you so much. Definitely that Falstaff was really got me to that point. Really
Yes.
making Shakespeare my own and just being myself with it. Because anyway, I know we're supposed to talk about love stories, but quick sidebar. I used to like act like white, when I would do Shakespeare, because I was like, these people are white. And then one day it just like clicked. I think I was watching Katya, shout out girl. But I was like, wow, I can like be myself and like be a Black woman and like do Shakespeare and be like, yeah. So that's something that I've been working on for the past couple years to like really sink in. Is just like not try to be a white man.
Yes.
Like, but yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that, because it's like Shakespeare is for everybody and we claim it as our own. And like as any actor, you bring yourself to the role. And so the role is going to be more dynamic and more interesting to watch if you're bringing a part of yourself to it. That's how I do it. And that's how you do it. That's how Katya. And I think that's why people like to watch us do Shakespeare, because it's not the same old energy that you've seen for 400 years.
Women should do Shakespeare constantly, and everyone should always see it.
Yes. So what is your love story?
Yeah. Okay. So my love story is it's more of a journey than like a story of like a one-time thing. I just wanted to like shout out my best friend in the whole world. Her name is Francesca. Our love knows no bounds. I promise you that we were like sapphic, like goddess cult leaders in our past lives, and we're also soulmates, and we've like found each other, and it just like we just like make sense together. And it's really nice to have like someone who's like your soulmate and not that like romantic way. Just because like our love is like way better than that. Like there's just it's spiritual, it's cosmic. I can't even explain it to you guys. But it's like we have the same thoughts constantly, and you're like, yeah, that's what best friends do. No, this is special, this is different. Where like I don't even say we're like sisters or best friends, because like the words just are not right for what we are. Because it like feels very like at a molecular level we were supposed to like find each other. Yeah, and like, okay, so this is our little story of like shared trauma is when she like fractured her spine last August, in like 4 places. And if you talk to her about it now, she'll tell you like, "Oh, you kept me so calm," because I was there and we were called, and my best friend Henry called the ambulance, and she got out. It took forever, but anyway, she'll tell you like, "Oh, like you helped me to be so calm," and it was like, no, like she helped me to be so calm in that situation. To be it, our energies are just indescribable together. She was like meditating, just being like, it's just pain. I'm okay. And I was like, yeah, girl, you okay? And just like that sort of cyclical energy between us just like really got us through that really traumatic, really terrifying night. But yeah, I love you. If you're watching this, you're not. I know you're not because I know that you're at your house doing something else. But I'll make you watch this later.
It'll be up. It'll be up on Facebook. It'll be up on YouTube later, so she can check it out. But that really warms my heart. Like when you mention like your soulmate connection with your friend, it kind of like making my stomach jump a little bit because I love that. That's like those bonds are so pure. They're so like intense and like wonderful, and it like makes it just kind of makes your life feel a little more complete because you have that like that person.
Yep, she's helped me to be like a person. She's like honest. She's a white girl from Texas, and she taught me how to do my hair. Like she changed my life. I never wore my hair down before Francesca. I forget what else I was gonna say, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I really enjoyed your sonnet, and I've loved talking to you. It's great to see you.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. That's really great. Like I said, like love comes in all forms, and I do think that friendship bond is so pure and so special. So if you have a friend that you love, that you rely on, or maybe that you haven't talked to in a while, give them a text this weekend. Tell them hi. Tell them that you're thinking about them. I'm sure they would really appreciate it. So our next reader was recently seen in the 24-hour Play Fest, and he hosts Listen Up on Epic Theater Company's Instagram page. I would love to welcome Tyler Jahampa to read for us today.
Hello,
Hey, Tyler.
hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. I'm in good health, good spirits, and yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Tyler, we've worked together a couple of times. I've admired your work. We're also neighbors. You live like literally around the corner from me, which is really interesting and fun. So you recently were in the 24-hour Play Fest, the virtual edition.
Yes.
What was that like?
Oh my goodness. I learned so much and got to make some really awesome connections. And I wouldn't, even though it was virtual, and I know the past have like all been down at the theater in Wakefield. I still wouldn't trade that experience. I feel like I really got to learn a lot. I got to work with some awesome designers and actors as well. I wouldn't change that for the world. And yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed myself.
That's great. I'm really happy. And that's kind of how the Playfest is. It's like this sort of trial by fire. You kind of have to learn a lot all at once, but it's like becomes a really great experience in your life. So I'm really happy you're a part of it, and hopefully you can join us when we get back in person for the next one.
Definitely.
All right, let's get to your sonnet. You have sonnet 91, I believe.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's read it. Let's hear it.
All right. Here is sonnet number 91. Some glory in their birth, some in their skill, some in their wealth, some in their body's force, some in their garments through newfangled ill, some in their hawks and hounds, some in their horse. And every humor hath his adjunct pleasure, wherein it finds a joy above all the rest. But these particulars are not my measure. All these I better in one general best. Thy love is better than high birth to me. richer than wealth, prouder than garments cost, of more delight than hawks and horses be, in having thee of all men's pride I boast. Wretched in this alone, that thou mayest take. All this away, and me most wretched make.
Thank you. I picked that one in part because, it's a theme that we can kind of all understand of like, some people like have riches, wealth, fame, but all of that means nothing to me because I have you.
Yes.
That's what it's about, right? Like, who cares really the material possessions that you have?
Oh,
People
definitely.
around you that you love, that care for you. That's what kind of makes life feel full, right?
Absolutely.
So we're kind of sharing love stories from our own lives. Is there anything you want to share? Could be about a family member, a friend, a pet, food, hobby.
Yes, sure. When it looking into like relationships that I've had with all the people that I've met professionally, through school and everything like that. One friendship that I definitely think has shined the most throughout my life is actually with my friend Stephen Carvalho. So we met in high school. We played some football together. And then I found out that he was also an actor. He was in our school's drama club. And then I was like, let me try this out. I started in drumline, and then I at least participated in building sets for the set construction crew. And I was like, "Mm, let's try this acting thing out," and never thought that I would like actually be good at it, or at least never as good as he was. And then I ended up catching the bug, and without that tipping point, I feel like it would not lead me to uh, meeting all the people that I met at KCACTF Festival. Never would meet, would never involve me like being part of this festival, if anything. Yeah, it's like one of those like little tipping points that if you really think far into it, like it's just like, wow, this really wouldn't happen. And we still keep in touch. We actually did a production of Carrie the musical over with Epic Theater Company, and so that was like this show that we got to share the same stage with since high school, and that was really fun.
That's really great. I know Steven. He's a great guy. He's going to be getting married like
Yeah,
sometime soon, which is really awesome.
yeah, Emily. Yeah, I'm happy for the both of them.
Yeah, and I saw that production of Carrie the musical. That was really fun.
Yeah, we got to play high schoolers, and so I was like, oh great, it's going to be like the good old days.
It's like old times. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, those relationships sometimes, like especially when I know when I was in high school is when I kind of started doing theater like more seriously, and sometimes you need that little push because it can be intimidating to like join the drama club if you don't feel like
Mhm.
it's really for you. But if you have someone that you know and someone that you're comfortable with, and you can have fun with that person, um, that's really great. So I'm happy that that was a connection for you, and that you're still in touch. That's really awesome. So is there anything you're working on now that you want to mention, that you want to promote, anything you have coming up?
Yes, I'm directing a series of uh, 10-minute plays as well as scenes with pop-up productions in Louisiana. And, sorry, yikes.
That's right.
That's Chinese food just waiting for me. But so I'm directing a show. It's called A Night at Dante's. And yeah, the Chinese food is right outside the door.
Okay,
So it's
that's great.
called A Night at Dante's, and it's going to be really fun. Set of comedies and monologues. We hope to see you there. Also follow me at Tyler the Starving Actor on Instagram to get caught up on Listen Up. And yeah, that's all I got.
That's awesome. Go get your Chinese food.
Will do.
Bye. That's great. You gotta get that Chinese food. They're gonna leave if he doesn't go get it. I love working with Tyler. I've directed at least one play that he was in, and he's a wonderful person. That's part of it. These actors that you're gonna see, they're all really talented people. They're all really skilled, but they're also really great people as well. So we're gonna go ahead and move right to our next reader. And he's someone that I actually haven't personally worked with before, but he's someone whose work I've really admired for several years now. He's an actor, he's a writer, and very excitingly, he's a tap dancer. I would love to welcome Orlando Hernandez to read for us. Hey.
Hey, Tammy, how's it going?
It's great. I'm really excited to see you and that you're reading with us tonight.
Oh, same. I was super excited that you asked me because like you said, we haven't gotten to work together, but I've also really admired your work from a distance. So it's excited to collaborate in this little form right now, and then more in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's definitely make that happen for sure. So you have a great sort of history recently with Shakespeare and especially in Spanish and in English. But before I ask about that, I want to talk about tap dancing.
Yeah.
I've watched some of your videos on Instagram, and tap dancing just fascinates me. I had to learn I tried to learn a tap routine for a show I did once, and luckily I ended up getting taken out of the number. I didn't have to do it. I found it so challenging, and so anybody that can tap dance I really admire, and I really am interested in how you got interested in tap dancing.
Oh yeah. I mean, this I brought a love story about my hamster, but from when I was a kid. But this would also work. This would also work as a love story because when I was really little, I would move my feet around, kind of doing what now is like I know it's like kind of hop shuffle. When I was like 4 or 5, and my parents. Then when I was 6 is when the show Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk came out. A Savion Glover, incredible, really important for the art form production. I was in like 1996. And my parents took me to see that show, and I loved that. And I started to take lessons and kind of get deeper into it from there. But there was something about it that called to me from when I was really little.
That's great. I'm happy that you saw that, and I'm happy that you ran with it, and now you've kind of, you've been studying it, and now you're you're a tap dancer. It's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
So you've been part of the Trinity Rep Summer Shakespeare, the Teatro nel Verano, and it seemed like you've been a pretty integral part of that for the last several years, and you've even adapted at least one, or was it more than one? You adapted Tempest into Spanish?
Yes, yeah.
And I just wonder, what was that like, taking a big sprawling play like The Tempest and the Shakespearean language and adapting that into Spanish?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's so the project, it's like a collab between, like you said, between Trinity and Rhode Island Latino Arts. A couple of folks who are here tonight have been involved too, like Emily and Katia, and I mean, so some of it was just having a dope team to be working with. So that year, Tatiana Marie Carlo was directing, and Kufa Castro also helped me out with some parts of the script. So definitely, Marcel Mascaro was a part of that production and have worked on it. So we've been, over the years, we've built a team that kind of makes the whole thing happen. But I say, I mean, it was definitely overwhelming. My English is stronger than my Spanish, so putting it into Spanish was its own kind of its own challenge. But it was like, the Tempest in particular actually has this history in Latin America and the Caribbean of kind of being used, understood by people, by playwrights, by scholars, by different types of artists, like as having something to do with Caribbean history. And so the history of colonialism, the history of like language, power, and these different dynamics. So it's like kind of getting inside. That was one of the ways in for me. And then kind of looking at, okay, what are these different dynamics? So Prospero became someone who's like not from the island, a white woman who came to the island, and the magic and her power there had something to do with like her having learned the language, it kind of, and then being able to assert that over people there. And so those kinds of ways in, and then, it's been a while since I thought about it, but like Stefano, Trinculo, they definitely spoke a different kind of Spanish, like kind of more slang, more kind of like, people's language a little bit, like, and then so their interaction with Caliban was like, also we had Kufa, who's a Dominican actor, and Ricardo, who's Puerto Rican, so they were bringing their own like, just their own, idioms, their own, so that became a part of it. So just kind of finding ways into the text, I'd say, through these different cultural specificities and kind of what story we were telling about the Caribbean, about power and language and culture.
It's so exciting. I watched that show, and I'm like familiar with The Tempest. I've seen it like before, and I love when people can take a Shakespeare production, especially one that's performed relatively frequently, and give it just new life, give it new energy, give it a new perspective, but yet staying true to the themes, because it seems like Shakespeare was talking about colonialism when it was in its infancy. So he was a little bit ahead of his time even addressing it, but then to bring it forward, and it's an issue that was still dealing with the ramifications of today. So thank you for putting that, for like working on that, and for everybody like bringing that show to us, because I think it was really fun.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, it was. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have you read your sonnet. You have sonnet 102. So let's hear it.
Cool. Yeah, this was actually a new sonnet to me. So, all right. My love is strengthened, though more weak in seeming. I love not less, though less the show appear. That love is merchandised, whose rich esteeming the owner's tongue doth publish everywhere. Our love was new, and then but in the spring, when I was wont to greet it with my lays, as Philomel in summer's front doth sing, and stops her pipe in growth of riper days. Not that the summer is less pleasant now than when her mournful hymns did hush the night, but that wild music burdens every bough, and sweets grown common lose their dear delight. Therefore, like her, I sometimes hold my tongue, because I would not dull you with my song.
Thank you. I love, there's a lot of sonnets, like 150 something sonnets, and they all like talk about like different aspects of love. And that one is like, so much of his songs are like just about like proclamations of love and like outward shows of it. And he's like, I'm just gonna hold it in. Like, don't think I don't love you, because I'm not like screaming it. I love you all the more because I'm like holding it in inside, because I don't want to burden you with all of these like shows of love. It's like really great. He shows love in all of its like complex forms, which is awesome.
Definitely.
So with that, what's your love story?
Oh, well, the story I was going to tell was like, because you mentioned pets. So I was like, I was trying to think, I grew up with pets and loving pets. And so the first pet that I had that was like my pet was a hamster named Goldie. I got that really creative naming, just like a little kid sees the golden hamster, it's like, we'll call it Goldie. and Goldie was kind of big, like, and so we had I had to, this cage. I mean, pets is like, it's all I just think it's out Goldie got out of her cage, like out of and the cage. I mean, honestly, I feel weird about putting pets in cages now. I don't know if I don't think I want to do that, but Goldie got out, and she had like a tower. She was like, it was one of those cages that, like, the tubes, and Goldie got out and couldn't find her anywhere in my room. And I was like a little kid, and then my mom and I, we realized there was like a hole in the wall where there like a pipe used to be, and we realized Goldie had gotten into the wall, and then for like night after that, I would hear Goldie like scratching in the wall, like in that kind of, that like in old houses, there's that kind of, I don't know what that is, like that like kind of cardboard kind of just
like stuff.
Yeah, so that basically there was like, these two walls, and between it there was that kind of insulation material, and I would hear Goldie like scratching up and down in the wall, and it was like awful because we couldn't, we took off part of the wall, but it was just the front of it. Basically, we were gonna have to like, tear down the whole house in order to get Goldie out, which we couldn't do, obviously. And so then I was like stressed, and then my mom was kind of like, basically I was trying to bring me through some process of saying goodbye to this pet. And then one morning, I just woke up, went over to the cage, and noticed that Goldie was just back in her cage. She was like back in like her little bed, her little hamster bed up in the tower, and she had made her way home. And that was so I got I think a couple more years with Goldie. So that's my love story about Goldie coming back home from the wall.
That's great. I'm so happy that story had a happy ending. Oh no, this pet that you love died in the wall, but no.
I know. Yeah. No. That's where I was headed. That's where I was headed.
That's great. I'm so happy that you got a couple more, spend some more time with Goldie. That's great. So yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you and hearing your sonnet. And stick around, and we'll get some more of your Ryla friends up to read some of their sonnets coming up.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks so much, Terry.
Thank you. I'm going to do another sonnet request really quickly. We had a request for sonnet number 104. And this was requested by James Gentner. So this is a really lovely sonnet to a friend. So I'm going to read that one really quickly. Okay. Sonnet number 104. To me, fair friend, you never can be old. For as you were when first your eye I eyed, such seems your beauty still. 3 winters cold have from the forest shook 3 summers' pride, 3 beauteous springs to yellow autumn turned, in process of the seasons I have seen. 3 April perfumes in 3 hot Junes burned, since first I saw your flesh, which yet are green. Ah, yet doth beauty like a dial hand steal from his figure, and no pace perceived. So your sweet hue, which methinks still doth stand, hath motion, and mine eye may be deceived. For fear of which, hear this, thou age unbred, ere you were born, was beauty's summer dead. I love one of the themes in Shakespeare's sonnets when he's talking about people that he loves, and this one's to a friend, that just seeing them because he loves them so much, it changes like the way his eyes see the person. He always sees beauty in them. He doesn't see them age. He sees them stay sort of forever youthful and beautiful simply because he loves them so much. So I think that's a really wonderful theme in Shakespeare's sonnets. So moving right along, we have our next reader was also recently seen in the 24-Hour Play Festival. He's an actor and he's a poet, and he's going to be having a poetry night next weekend with us, and we'll talk about that in a moment. I would love to welcome Jay Walker to read with us. Hey, Jay.
Hello. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
There was a little bit of a delay there. I think my internet connection is iffy.
That's okay. I can hear
Look, my
your
computer
velvety
just said my
tones.
internet. Thank you. Oh boy.
So yeah, I was gonna say you have
So-
one of the best voices in Rhode Island theater, so I'm glad to be able to hear it tonight.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
let's see. So, let's read your sonnet. You have sonnet number 126.
128.
128. That's right. Sonnet 128.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll step out and I'll go ahead and let you
It's
read
all
it.
good. Thank you. How oft when thou, my music placed upon that blessed wood whose motion sounds with thy sweet fingers when thou gently swayst the wiry concord that mine ear confounds, do I envy those jacks that nimble leap to kiss the tender inward of thy hand, whilst my poor lips should that harvest reap at the wood's boldness by thee blushing stand. To be so tickled, they would change their state and situation with those dancing chips, or whom thy fingers walk with gentle gait, making dead wood more blessed than living lips. Since saucy jacks are so happy are in this, give them thy fingers, me thy lips to kiss.
Yes, that was great. I love that sonnet. In part, the first line is
Thank you.
he refers to the person as his music, and I just love that he's talking about the person he loves and he's calling them my music. It's really great.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what was your love story that you want to share with us?
Comparing to music.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting because I've never had a lot of success in the romantic love aspects, but one of my greatest failures led to one of my greatest successes in love in general, and that's my daughter Faye. I remember when she was just born, and I got to hold her in my arms for the first time, and then they took her away and brought her into the next room so that they could hook her up because she didn't have enough surfactant in her lungs and her lungs weren't fully developed. So she needed some help breathing at first. But, you know, I remember being so broke up about that and wanting to be able to hold her more. But, you know, the hospital took turning 19 next month. And it just seems like only yesterday.
She's gonna be 19.
19.
Wow, congratulations to you and to her. That's really great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that love from a parent to a child, like there's really nothing like it. Yeah, I don't have children myself, but you
Oh
know,
yeah.
my bond with my mom is really strong, and you know, it's really special. So I'm glad you told us that story. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of things that my mom has done that I didn't understand until I became a parent myself. So it's
Absolutely.
having a child has made my connection with my own mother even more special.
Absolutely. And I just want to talk before I let you go about next week, next Sunday, February 21st at 6 p.m. We are having an evening of poetry and conversation with you, Jay Walker, because you have recently released a new poetry book. So is there anything you want to say about that?
That's right. Yes. Well, I want people to be prepared because the whole point of putting this book out was to share my dark places with people so that everyone knew it was okay to have those dark places as long as you address them. And so there's going to be some fun, but there's also going to be some reflection and some dark periods. So because it's called dark. So I just want people to be prepared for that.
Oh, thank you for that. And that's something that we can all relate to right now because we're all in a major dark period. So I'm sure people are going to be able to sort of commiserate with you and relate on that level. So I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to talking with you next week about your poetry. So thank you so much.
I'm excited too. Thank you.
All right, we will move right along to our next reader. She has been seen at CTC in many different roles. The ones I know most clearly are in The Clean House. She played Machilde, and in Two Gentlemen of Verona just a few years ago. So I would like to welcome Emily Rodriguez.
Hello.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. When I was kind of like thinking about, some of the things you've done recently, it's kind of like you've had to play a couple of like multilingual roles in the last couple of years because with Clean House, you had to learn Portuguese.
I did, yes. There's a whole, 5-minute joke in Portuguese to start the show. Probably the most nerve-wracking monologue of my life.
I mean, I think you killed it. I don't know what you said, but it sounded great.
Perfect.
And then you did Shakespeare in El Verano, not last summer, because there wasn't anything last summer, but in 2019. And you did Much Ado About Nothing, and you played Beatrice in Spanish. And you were also doing Two Gentlemen of Verona in English. So you were doing Shakespeare simultaneously, different plays in different languages. What was that like?
That was so dynamic. I speak Spanish, which is why I was in that bilingual Shakespeare. But like Orlando was talking about himself earlier, my English is so much stronger than my Spanish. So I was an absolute nervous wreck to be speaking Spanish in front of so many people. But it turned out to be such a special experience because my dad, he only speaks Spanish. So he's come to all my shows, but he's never understood anything I've said until being in that show, which was so amazing and so special to be able to perform for him in the language that he understands. And being in Two Gentlemen of Verona at the same time was a lot of Shakespeare at once, but honestly, I have grown to love Shakespeare so much over the years, and being Sylvia in that show was so fun. She was kind of like the princess, but kind of like the, strong princess. I know that sounds so like a princess can be both, but
yeah, but they're not always written as both, and she is. So
yeah, exactly. So that was such a fun character to play too. Playing Beatrice and Sylvia at the same time was just such a fun summer of strong Shakespeare women, which I love.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's hear your sonnet. You have sonnet number 17, I believe.
Yes, I do.
So, all right, let's hear it.
Okay. Who will believe my verse in time to come, if it were filled with your most high deserts? though yet heaven knows it is but as a tomb, which hides your life and shows not half your parts. If I could write the beauty of your eyes, and in fresh numbers number all your graces, the age to come would say, this poet lies. Such heavenly touches ne'er touched earthly faces. So should my papers, yellowed with their age, be scorned, like old men of less truth than tongue, and your true rights be termed a poet's rage, and stretched meter of an antique song. But were some child of yours alive that time, you should live twice, in it and in my rhyme. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that one because it's kind of meta. I like how Shakespeare is talking about how, if readers in the future will believe that this is true, and like we're the readers in the future, so we have to ask ourselves if we believe it's true. I don't know. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, it is so fun.
This is the idea of like, you know, I love this person so much that like no one's ever going to believe that like such a person ever existed.
Yeah.
You know what? Why not?
Yeah.
I believe it. So do you have a love story you want to share with us?
I do. And honestly, this has to do with my greatest love of food, which is a real true love to me. But it's kind of, you know, the one that got away as well. So basically, I was in Boston with my boyfriend, Charlie Santos. I'm sure many people know him, but this isn't about him. And I almost never go to Boston, so I had no idea where I was. And I'm pretty sure I was in a part of Boston I had never been. I don't know where it is. But we were going to meet up with a friend, and we were a couple hours early. So we decided to get some lunch at kind of like the first place we saw. And the first place we saw was this really cute, like little Italian restaurant. And it seemed clearly to be like a family-owned Italian restaurant. There was a bunch of people there, like, and a bunch of backpacks and kids sitting around, all speaking Italian. So it kind of felt like I had accidentally walked into someone's house, but that's okay. They still fed us. And I wasn't super into the idea of having Italian food, but it was the first place we saw, so we just kind of went in. And on the menu was the most amazing pasta I'd ever heard of. It was pumpkin ravioli with brown butter sage sauce, which was just, obviously I had to have it. And that was probably the most amazing pasta I've ever had in my entire life. And then we met up with our friend and we left, and I have no idea what the place was called, which is the saddest thing ever. I've gone to Boston since then, and we've gone to every Italian restaurant in Boston. Not really, but every time we go to an Italian restaurant hoping and crossing our fingers that it's the same one, but it never is, and it's never as good. But that is my love story of that pumpkin ravioli.
That's awesome. That sounds so delicious.
I promise, if I ever figure out the name, I'll blast it from the rooftops.
Yeah. You know, they say better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. I think Shakespeare may have said that. I don't know. Sounds like something you would have said. But, you know, at least you experienced it. You experienced it that one time. So you've seen true love. And now, like, can you recapture it? Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you find your pasta of your dreams again one day. It's been really great talking to you. I miss you, and I'm excited for you and for your future. And I hope that we work together again, like sometime soon in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so too. I love working with you, Tammy. So thank you so much for inviting me here, and hopefully we'll work together again soon.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to really, really quickly do one more sonnet request, which is like sort of not really a request. This is from a dear friend of mine and a friend of the theater, Mike Alper, who actually was in a Shakespeare show with me at CTC, the Scottish play, and he played King Duncan. And so I got slathered all in his blood during the show. And then he played Polonius in Hamlet, and so I killed him again. It's like a recurring theme of me killing Mike Alper in plays. But he made like a funny comment of a sonnet that he loved, but it wasn't really a sonnet. It was like a naughty limerick, and then he was like, "Oh, just kidding. I'll give you a real one that you could do." So this is Sonnet 73, which is really, really a beautiful sonnet that I enjoy as well. Sonnet 73. That time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold, bare ruined choirs, where late the birds sweet sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away, death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well which thou must leave ere long. That one's a really, I mean, they're all really beautiful, but I love it. I love the language. I love the imagery. Some of the sonnets are very strong on imagery, but this one really has a lot of imagery, especially the imagery of autumn and fall and leaves falling and sunset turning into night. It's a really gorgeous picture and a really gorgeous metaphor for love. So with that, we will go to our final reader of the night. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anybody. Yes, this is our final reader of the night. She needs no introduction. She doesn't even need a last name. The first time I ever met her, she was actually in a Shakespeare play at CTC. She was in Imogen, but she's also played Mercutio, and she played Benedict opposite Emily, who we just saw. And I would love to welcome Katya to read with us today. Hey! Katya, you're all over the place lately.
Am I? I feel like I'm just in my house. You know?
That is like the joy and the sorrow of COVID, is that you can be everywhere and nowhere all at the same time.
Ooh, yeah, and I'm getting way too toasty and cozy up in this bed. So like, I don't know if I'm gonna go out there again.
Well, you have been doing a lot of really interesting digital content. So, I've been loving seeing that, and I hope that continues like post COVID. It's like super interesting.
I can't make no promises. We'll see. I have the time and I'm not necessarily the energy to do it now, but I have the time. So
Well, I'm glad you've been putting that like crazy clever head of yours into all these things. And like I feel like everybody thinks they can do like digital content. Everybody thinks they can do TikToks, and everybody thinks they can do YouTube and stuff like that, on cosplay and all of that. And you seem like you've really committed to it, and you're doing awesome. I think you're doing great.
Thank you. It's not that easy. I thought it would be, but it's not. I was like, what's TikTok? Like, you say a little thing and then you're famous. No. No, it's not like that. And YouTube editing, not fun. It is not a fun time.
Yeah, but you've learned it. You're doing a great job with it. So keep it up.
I'm gonna try.
So let's go to your sonnet. It's sonnet number 29. This is It's a beautiful sonnet, so I will step away.
When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, haply I think on thee. And then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
Yeah, that was great. I
Thank
love that
you.
sonnet because, well, that sonnet I think is a favorite of Ricardo Fitzwiley. Anybody that's worked at Mixed Magic knows that's his favorite sonnet, I think.
Well, Ricardo, yes, Merry Christmas.
But it's I love that one. That one's a great one to perform because you have a change there. There's it's like really really digging in on the negative, and then it's like, but you changed me.
Right, and I really like that because I'm like, this is generally where I would go with a monologue of love. I'd start with all the bad stuff, and then I'd be like, but you're different. You got me thinking something different, girl.
Yeah, and that's like one of the great things about love, whether it be a friend, family member, or even your pet or whatever. Like, you can be in the worst mood, and they can just help you. Just thinking about them can help you brighten your day. That's great. Do you have a love story that you want to share with us?
Yeah. I thought about this real hard because like love, but I do have it. I do possess a heart. So my love story is gonna be about my grandma because I love that woman. So when I was a little kid, I mean I've always been attached to my grandma. She's basically helped raise me and all that. But like she would always give me rides. I'm always getting a ride if you don't know me. And the thing is that my grandma would always talk to me in these car rides. She would just be ranting, monologuing, and I always was somewhere else. I don't know where the heck I was. I'm a kid. My head's in the clouds. And I'd always be like, Grandma, who you talking to? And she's like, you silly. And I'm over here like, what, for real? I didn't hear a single word. And this happened well until I was like grown, and I was like, yo, I need to stop this because obviously she is sharing this moment with me right now, so that we can have this. But like even now it's different now. My head's not in the clouds when I'm not listening to her. Sometimes it's kind of weird because it's I'm with her and then I'm just like I'm enjoying this moment, and then a part of me just like leaves, and I'm like, remember this moment because you're not gonna have her forever. And like just the other, like I make her we go on walks together, and one day we were going on a long walk and the sun was setting and we were just eating peanuts and laughing and talking shit, and we went on the swings, and she's like, it's been so long since I've been on a swing, and I swung her, and I was like, I want to remember this. And so like, and it feels so surreal to like step out of my body and just think about trying to remember the weather because I want to cherish her forever. But then I realize in these moments that I'm trying to remember everything, I'm not living in them. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to live in the moments with my grandma a lot more, instead of just because then I'm gonna miss what's happening while I'm trying to literally remember it as it happens. But yeah, she's the goat. she's the Grams. She's always been there. She always support me whenever anybody said I was weird. My grandma was day one and be like, nah, you just don't get her. She's different. And I was like, grandma. So yeah, my love for my grandma knows no bounds.
Oh, that's really wonderful. It's like I understand that feeling too. Like my grandma's, getting older, and it's like you wanna just savor every single like moment because they're not gonna be there forever. But she lives in your heart, and she's made an imprint on you. So you'll definitely have her with you forever in that way. So that's really nice. That really warms my heart. Thank you for talking about your grandmother today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna do one last sonnet really quick. This one is really popular sonnet, probably the most famous one, because I feel like no night of sonnets would be complete without this one. So I'm just gonna read it really quickly. This is sonnet number 18, which is classic. They're all classic. This one's classic too. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. I love that sonnet. It's a metaphor that we can all understand. Who doesn't love a summer's day? And he's saying that this person is even better than that. So with that, I want to bring everybody back on. Everybody go ahead and turn on your cameras. And just remind everybody of the wonderful readers we had. I'm not sure if I said this earlier, but if you cast a Shakespeare play, with this group of folks, it would be all-star. And the three of them already have been in plays together as Teatro and El Verano. So when that comes back, check that out because you're going to see those folks and it's going to be awesome. So I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank all of our readers. And I just want to remind everybody this weekend is a weekend to celebrate love. So yes, call your grandma, text your friend, check in on folks that you haven't talked to in a while, give your cat an extra treat, go eat that pasta that you love. I'm going to go get frisky fries tomorrow. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate love in all of its forms now and forever moving into the future. So thank you all for joining us tonight, and check back in with CTC for all of the great stuff we have coming up. Thank you and good night. Bye.